So Rabbi say, we're live. Here we are, Ohr Somayach Yerushalayim, at the end of the Zman. Right? The last of the Mohicans over here. So basically, I didn't know what to talk about.
Is that high or what?
I didn't know what to talk about because this is the last year, probably last year. So I wanted to talk about Pesach in Yonim, but it's a little bit early, even though Shoshim Yom Chag. So I figured I'll talk about Pesach and Megillah in Yonim. So we'll sandwich it in. And what is the common denominator of Pesach and Megillah and Purim? Wine, right? Oenophiles love our wine. So we're going to get somehow other wine for Pesach, a little wine for Megillah. Anyway, most of us are still have a hangover, so it's all wonderful. So we'll start off with the famous Mishnah in Harei Pesachim that says even the poorest of the poorest has to have 4 cups of wine on the Seder night. And you even give him from staka. You even give him from the communal funds. Okay. Meaning, usually for mitzvahs, you do not give money from the communal fund. But this you do because we have to have 4 cups of wine. And everyone will tell you, wow, 4 cups of wine on the night of Pesach. Where does that come from? Is it in the Torah anywhere? Well, seemingly no. There is no open pasuk about matzah in the Torah. There's the open pasuk about maror in the Torah, and there's the open pasuk about Pesach in the Torah, the Korban Pesach. But there's definitely no open pasuk in the Torah about the 4 cups of wine. So where do the 4 cups of wine come from? So Rashi in the Mishnah says the source. Seemingly Rashi saying it's rabbinical. The 4 cups of wine is M'Rabbanan, right? You know, it's funny why, we'll talk about that, but there's so much going on in Pesach, the rabbis have to add in another element, another component, but that's what the rabbis do. And we have 4 cups of wine, and the Rashi says, where does it come from? Keneged arba l'shayne gula, ha'amurim begoz Mitzrayim. There are 4 descriptives about the Jews leaving Mitzrayim. I think in the passage of Eira. I'll take you out, I'll save you, I will redeem you, the Parshas of Eira. So since in Parshas of Eira, when the Rebbe tells Moshe, that's it, the game is up for Paroi, and we're all going out, he uses 4 very distinctive lashons of Geula, and that's why we have 4 cups of wine. Right? This is not a shir on Machshava, but you can open up a Meshech Chochma. He goes through it, a beautiful Meshech Chochma explaining exactly what these Lashonos depict. Okay? That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. Very good. So 4 cups of wine. It's so important, even though it's rabbinical, that even the poorest of the poorest get money from the communal fund in order to make sure that they have 4 cups of wine. Oh. So Yonatan over here, our cameraman, is ahead of the game. And Yonatan says, it's a stira. We have a stira in Rashi. Why? Because Rashi in the Mishnah says the reason why we have 4 cups of wine is because to remind us, represents the 4 Lashonos of Geula. But Rashi in the Gemara brings a different reason. Where does Rashi talking about? It says here in the Gemara, Rabbi Shua ben Levi says, Noshim chayot ba'arakos halalu. Even women are chayav in the 4 cups of wine. Say, why should women not be chayav in 4 cups of wine? Because it's mitzvah zayshis grama that we already spoke about. Any time-related, time-bound mitzvah, women don't have to do. So seemingly, Noshim should not have to drink 4 cups of wine. So why do they have to drink 4 cups of wine? Because they also had a part in the nes. And as you recall, this Gemara is mentioned 3 times in Shas. We spoke about it last year. It spoke about Megillah. Women are chayiv in Megillah. Women are chayiv in Chanukah. And women are chayiv in Dal Kaisis. Even though all of these 3 are mitzvah shizman grama, so seemingly women should not be obligated. But Rabbi Shimon Levi says, since they also had a part in the nest, and as you recall, there are 2 ways to learn this. We're going to get involved in this more a little bit later. Afhein ba'is means they also were saved. They were also in exile and they were saved. Or Afheim Baisanes means that they took a prominent part in the redemption. Like we say by Megillah, Esther brought about the redemption. By Chanukah it was Yehudis. And by Mitzrayim is B'schus Noshim Sidkonius. We all know it's in this week's Parsha actually, that the Noshim Sidkonius made sure that there would be continuation, a proliferation of the Jewish population. Right, in this week's Parsha, we all know that they had these special mirrors, and they would go out to the field, and they basically would arouse their husbands because the husbands weren't interested in having any children, and basically, b'schut noshim zikani is the very good. The women, the men were. We got the Exodus. Okay, Peter May, two pshatim. Afhein anybody, so that means that they're also part of the mess, or they took a prominent part. Peter May, it says over here that women have to do 4 kaises. And Rashi says over here, something inexplicably, he says, why are there 4 cups? Why are there 4 cups? We understand why there's 4 cups. And even more strangely, he quotes, well, it's to a reminder of the 4 cups of wine by the story of the Sahar Mashkim. What was the story of the Sahar Mashkim? We know Yosef was in the jail with the Sahar Mashkim, with the wine minister and the chief baker, and they had bad dreams, right? And Yosef asked them, how are you guys doing today? Why you look so sad? Right? And the Sahar Mashkim says, yeah, I had this dream. And what does it say in the dream? That it says here in the pasuk that it says over here in the pasuk, the kois pari biyadi, the eschel is some kois pari, the eter is kois al kafa pari, what is that the kois pari? It says kois 4 times. 4 times it says kois. I'm not saying Rashi exactly, but it says kois 4 times. So since by the story of the Sahar Mashkim, it says 4 times kois, so that's why we drink 4 cups of wine on Pesach. This is what Rashi says. So 3 questions. One I will not answer now. You're going to say, what in the world does the kois of the Sahar Mashkim have to do with going out of Mitzrayim? I'm not answering that question. That is for a Agada shir. I'm not answering that question right now. But that's the bottom line is, right now, this is Rashi. This is not like some esoteric. This is Rashi. He brings down, this is the source for the 4 cups of wine, because it says by Sahar Mashkim. By the way, this is total on the side. If you ever go to Asar B'Tevis and you look at the Slichas there, in Asar B'Tevis, it lists all the anti-Semites. And it says the biggest anti-Semite was the Sahar Oifim, was the other character in the story, was the baker. And you're like, they weren't even Jews then. How could he be the big anti-Semite? I'm not going there right now. But be it as it may, right now we're talking about this Rashi. Rashi says that the Sahar HaMashkim represented the Geula, 4 cups of Sahar HaMashkim. Oh, so the question is that we are going to ask, why does Rashi bring a different reason? Why in the Mishnah does Rashi bring the reason, the standard reason that we learned in kindergarten, Kineged Arba L'Shayna Shel Geula? Why does he bring this other reason over here? And particularly by Rabbi Shua ben Levi. This is what we're trying to answer today. And we're going to give a whole Lamda Shashir to try to answer this question. Now, so we're going to say over now the most famous Bris Garov. The most famous Bris Garov. This is the way everyone knows this Bris Garov. Right? And if you don't know it, you will know it soon. The Tosfos in the beginning of the parak says, so we give to the ani from the communal staka, we give him 4 cups of wine. And Tosfos is medayik, don't give to him less than 4 cups of wine. Now, if the guy's an ani, why is he an ani? Probably because he has 10 kids. That's why he's an ani, right? So Tosfos asks the question: what about the kids? What about his wife? What about all these other people? What happened to their cups of wine? Why does it say lo yifchus loy? That's Tosfos' problem. That's Tosfos' problem. Tosfos says no problem. Tosfos says no big deal. Just like by Kiddush on Shabbos. How does it work by Kiddush on Shabbos? Everyone makes Kiddush on Shabbos? No, the dad makes it. And that's it. Dad makes the Kiddush. You don't got to drink you don't have to drink it. It's a nice thing to drink it. But no one else has to drink it. Who has to drink it? Only the dad. No one else has to drink it. Right? So says Tosfos, the same thing by 4 cups of wine. You don't need everyone to have 4 cups of wine. You just need the dad to have 4 cups of wine. And that's it. So that's why the Mishnah says you don't got to give to everyone else. If you have 10 kids, you don't need 44 cups of wine. You just need 4 cups of wine. The dad does what he does. Like every Shabbos, the dad does the Kiddush, and that's it. That's it. That's what Tosfos says. Oh. Now. So, the Maharal in Prague, says he has no idea, and everyone else, by the way, he has no idea what Tosfos is talking about. And here, we're going to tell you some background information. What is it that we do every Kiddush on Friday night? What do we do every Kiddush on Friday night? We're not going to do Kiddush today. Well, we say a whole entire bracha, right? We say a whole bracha. So, why do we say Baruch Hashem, right? Right? And then we say all about Shabbos. So, what exactly is the role of the wine? What is exactly the role of the wine? The answer is, the role of the wine is what we call a kos shel bracha, a kos of blessing. Meaning, the main thing of Kiddush on Friday night is the bracha that we talk about Shabbos. Right? The Kaddish Shabbos. But in order to give this a certain sense of levity, a certain sense of importance, we have a cup of wine too. I mean, the Baruch Guffen that we make on Kiddush on Friday night, that's not the main part of Kiddush. The main part of Kiddush is the bracha. That's what the main part of Kiddush is. But in order to give it some type of importance, we proceed it with a cup of wine. Where do you see this? You see it all over. Jews love wine. You go to a chuppah with a cup of wine, right? Sometimes they bring some other, and people are very from, they have a cup of wine, right? So we see this concept by Bris Milah, a cup of wine, right? By Bris Milah, what the wine got to do with anything? It has nothing to do with anything. The wine has nothing to do with anything. It's just a kos shel bracha, right? Kos shel bracha, just to give it a certain type of seriousness. Fine, great. So, what happens on Friday night? What is going on Friday night? The dad is saying the Kiddush. He has the cup of wine, right? What is everyone else in the family doing? They're Shemei Koina. They'll listen. Everyone has to make Kiddush. Who's chayiv in Kiddush? Everyone's chayiv in Kiddush. Everyone's chayiv in Kiddush, right? Women, men, women, the children, chinuch. So how are you Yotze Kiddush Friday night if no one else is holding the cup of wine? No one else has a cup of wine. So how are they Yotze? The answer is, the main thing of Kiddush, the main component of Kiddush is just the bracha. You hear the bracha from your dad, it's like you said it. Like by Kriyas Megillah. You don't read the Megillah. Like by shofar. You don't blow the shofar, right? By Kriyas Torah. Shemei Koina. By you listening to it, you sort of attach yourself to your dad, and it's like you're saying it too. You don't have the cup. You don't need the cup. The cup was only there as extra credit, as paraphernalia. You don't really need the cup. It was just to give it a certain type of sense of heftiness, a certain type of sense of importance. But dad has the cup. You're listening. It's very, very solemn. It's very, very dignified. Your dad's holding the cup. So you got the kosher bracha. And then who has to drink the cup?
He does.
The truth is, in theory, you don't even have to drink the cup. Just put the wine away. The whole point was just to make a certain type of ceremony. The halacha is that in order to, that it's not nice to make a bracha and use the kos and not to drink any of it. You have to drink a mali lugmav. You have to drink a cheekful, which is a roi revius, which is a mali lugmav, which is like 3 ounces, right? So in principle, let's get this straight. By Kiddush, in principle, you shouldn't even have to drink it. You shouldn't even have to drink it. Because the whole point is, well, yeah, I understand. Well, I understand. Exactly. In principle, you shouldn't have to drink it. But the halacha is, if you're a kos shel bracha, if you're already using this case to show an importance, so in order to concretize or to manifest the importance to fullness, you have to drink it to a little bit. But not everyone else has to. No. So just like the father is the only one holding the kos, the halacha is b'di'evid. Even someone else could drink it. Anyone could drink it. Even a child could drink it. This is b'di'evid. But in principle, anyone could drink it. And the halacha is a whole machlokes if maybe two people could drink it to get to the I'll drink a half a cheek and you'll drink a half a cheek and together we'll have a cheek. But basically what I'm trying to show you here, the cup is secondary, the drinking is secondary. Oh. Now, if anyone would stop you in the street and say, Arba Kaisis, what is the main thing about Arba Kaisis? You'd say you got to drink, it's like matzah. You got to eat the matzah, you got to eat the maror, and you got to drink the cup of wine. What does that mean? What is it? Is the main thing about Arba Kaisis is drinking the cup of wine. That's what it is. It's like, could I tell, all right. So how in the world could Tosfos even contemplate, Arba Kaisis, the dad does it for everyone. The dad does it for everyone. I mean, the dad does it for everyone. The dad does it for matzah too. Maybe, you know what? We're not gonna come to the Seder at all. We'll sit there and we'll watch the Ten Commandments. Let Dad do everything. Dad will eat the matzah for us. Dad will eat the maror for us. Dad will do everything for us. It's ridiculous. You have to eat the matzah. There's no shlichus for mitzvah shebegufay, right? You can't tell Dad to put on tefillin for you. You can't tell Dad to shake a lulav for you. You can't tell Dad to eat the matzah for you, right? So why all of a sudden this Tais is saying, for the 4 kaises of wine, Dad can do it for us. Let Dad do it. What is he talking about? By Kiddush, it's kaisha bracha. The main thing is not the kais. The main thing is the bracha, and you hear the bracha, right? When I say the bracha, it's not the poibri guffin, not to be confused. The bracha means the second part, right? So I'm doing it too. The kaisha, it's just a ceremonial. It's a paraphernalia of the kaisha bracha. Dad can do it. Dad's holding it. Someone will drink it eventually. This is a famous question of the moral on Tosfos. On the Pri Chadash. Says Reb Chaim Brisk. You know what? The question is the answer. The question is the answer. You come with your predisposition or your assumptions. Your assumption is wrong. Your assumption is wrong. The 4 cups of wine, according to Tosfos, has nothing to do with drinking it. Nothing to do with drinking it. It's just like Kiddush. It's a kais shel bracha. That's exactly what it is. It's just like Kiddush. You'll say, 4 cups of wine is a kais shel bracha? What bracha are you talking about? So just pour 4 cups and what bracha are you talking about? Well, the truth is, if you ever go to the Seder, that is the truth. The 4 cups of wine we drink right after a bracha. That is the truth. When do we drink the 4 cups of wine? After Kiddush. After we make a bracha, Gal Yisrael. Right? We make a bracha on the Haggadah. Right? Then we drink the cup of wine. Birchas HaMazon. We drink the cup of wine. And right after the last bracha, we make on Hallel. So the truth is, the 4 cups of wine that we drink on Leil Seder are exactly associated with the big brachas that we make. Make a big bracha Kiddush, make a big bracha, we say the whole Haggadah, and then we end off with the Gal Yisrael, a big bracha, we say Birchas HaMazon, and then we say the whole Hallel, and we make a bracha. We make a big bracha right after Hallel, right? So, says Reb Chaim, that's exactly what's going on. The 4 cups of wine have nothing to do with drinking it. It's just like, it's a kais shel bracha. It's just like Kiddush. Instead of having Kiddush 1 time, we have Kiddush 4 times. And therefore, Tosfos says, matzah, you can't send Dad to eat your matzah for you. You can't send Dad to eat your maror for you. But the 4 cups of wine, you just have to say the Haggadah, you have to say the brachas, you have to say Birchas HaMazon, you have to say Hallel. Dad's holding the cup. And by Dad holding the cup, that works for everyone. Just like Kiddush works for everyone, even though there's only 1 cup. This is the Kiddush. So it comes out, according to Tosfos, the 4 cups of wine are just a kais of bracha, nothing else. It's just Kiddush times 4 times, and we're going to see all the various nafkaminas in that. The truth is, if you open up a Rambam, That's what Rambam says, black and white. Kol kois b'kois ma'abakafas elu mevorach bracha b'fnei atzma. All 4 kaises of wine, you make a bracha on its own. Now, it doesn't mean bar per gofen. That's not what he's talking about. Kais rishon kiddush hayoim. The first kais, kiddush. Kais sheni, haggadah, karil of haggadah. Kais shlishi, mevarach alav birkas hamazon. Kais vi, goyim alav the harel, or mevarach alav birkas hashir. You make a whole bracha at the end of harel. That's it. This is black and white. It's like black and white. Oh, black and white. Okay. Now, the problem is not a problem. This is great. Wonderful. Comes out according to this. You don't got to drink the wine. Let dad get drunk. You don't got the headache. You don't got to. Just dad drinks it and that's it. Or everyone could drink a little bit together, like we do exactly like Kiddush. Oh. The thing is, the Rambam. There's another Rambam that the brisker of it's based on a Gemara in Daf Kuf Chesam Beis, but the Rambam still exists. Arba kois ale. These 4 cups. Limbs like oisan. They have to be diluted. Now, I don't know exactly how they made wine. But already talked about it. In the good old days, the wine was super strong and it wasn't drinkable unless you diluted it. I once went on a tour and they said they did it on purpose. It was because in the good old days it was very hard to find water. So after a while the water would get putrid. So they would actually they would dilute the wine because they wanted to be able to drink water too. And the water got the putrid after a while. So the wine would basically took away the bad taste of the water. Right? You ever go to the tours in Eretz Yisrael? They have these cisterns, they have these water vats, and they would explain that after a while, it would just rain in the summer in Eretz Yisrael, and that the water would be sitting there, it would become putrid. So they used the wine. It wasn't that the wine was used. It wasn't that the water was used for the wine. There was a component of the wine making the water drinkable.
What's putrid?
Putrid means rancid. There you go. It would get bad. It would get bad. It would get, Mos. There you go. Hebrew. And it's all right. Okay. Rabbi say. I have no idea. I just thought that was very fascinating. So I have no idea if that has anything to do with this. The bottom line is, in the good old days, they would always dilute wine to a great amount. It was 3-1. It's 3-1. So the Rambam says over here, you have to dilute the wine. But he says here, he says, it should be a sweet. And according to each individual likes his wine exactly his way, exactly the ratio of the water to the wine. So these 4 cases, make sure sweet and palatable for each person. Fine. Then he says like this. Here's the kicker. He says, if you did not dilute the wine, you drink it raw, very strong, you're yoitza arba kaisis, but you're not yoitza yedei chayris. What does that mean? You're yoitza arba kaisis, but you're not yoitza yedei chayris? Again, he's paraphrasing a Gemara in Daf Kuf. Then he said like this. Let's say you're a little bit impatient, and you're like, okay, let's start the Suda. And you're like, you drink the 4 cups of wine on one shot. You just drink 1 cup, 1 cup, 1 cup, 1 cup. 4 cups of wine in 1 shot. So he says over there, so you think that's nothing. He says, Yotzi yedei chayris, v'lo yotzi yedei arba kaisis. In that case, you're Yotzi yedei chayris, but you're not Yotzi arba kaisis. So, again, if you drink very strong wine, you're Yotzi arba kaisis, not yedei chayris. If you drink 4 cups of wine in 1 shot, you're Yotzi yedei chayris, you're not Yotzi arba kaisis. What in the world is these 2 components? What in the world are these 2 components? Well, says the brisker of famously, the Rambam holds it is, everyone say after me, Svei Dinim. Oh, I couldn't help myself. The Rambam holds that there are Svei Dinim. There are 2 Dinim in Dal Kaisis. I'll show you. He's not coming from nowhere. We'll see the Gemara's inside in a minute. What's the 2 Dinim? 1 din is exactly like Tosfos. Exactly like Tosfos. There are 4 cups of wine that were inserted at different places of the Agada to be a kosher bracha, to give a heftiness, to give an importance, to give a weightiness to certain parts of the Agada. Like we said, because some in Kiddush, the Agada, to give it a certain type of levity, importance. But besides that, Arba Kaisis has a din of Yedei Cheres. What do Yedei Cheres mean? Like we thought. You're drinking 4 cups of wine to show that you're like kings and you're free men and you're royalty and you've been redeemed. That's what we were taught in kindergarten, right? That's why you drink 4 cups of wine, because we're like rich people and we're like kings and we're free men. So says the Brisker Rav, that's exactly what the Rambam means. So let's do it. You have 4 cups of wine. They're very strong. You didn't dilute it. You drink it in the 4 different places. Were you yoytz in the din of Arba Kaisis of the Kaishal Bracha? Yeah. Bottom line is, there was wine here. And actually even more expensive because it wasn't diluted. So there was wine here. You have Kaishal Bracha. But do you have the other din of Didei Cheres? Do you have the other din that you're showing your royalty and your free men? No. The wine is barely edible. It's not areva. It's not sweet. No one likes to drink this. So if you drink 4 cups of wine at the proper places, but it's not mozug, it's not diluted, so it doesn't taste good. So, one din of yoytza, the din of kaishal bracha, you yoytza. But you're not yoytza the din of cheres, because you're not showing, you're drinking something that you don't like. You're not drinking it like royalty. Let's go to the flip side. Let's say you drink 4 cups of wine, one after another. Are you showing royalty? Yeah, you're like Achashverosh. You're drinking up 1 cup after another cup. Are you yoytza the aspect of cheres in the 4 cups of wine? Sure, why not? But are you yoytza the aspect of the kaishal bracha? Of course not. You just drank 4 cups of wine. You're supposed to, kaishal bracha means at certain brachas you drink, by kiddush you drink a cup of wine, by haggadah, by challah, by birkas hamazon. The whole point of kaishal bracha is you say a certain section of the haggadah, and then you have a wine associated with it. So, if you just drink 4 cups at one time, you're yoytza one aspect. Which aspect you're yoytza yedei cheres, because you're showing that you're a king, but you're not yoytza the aspect of kaishal bracha. That's what the Rambam is saying here. If you drink yain she'ein mazik, yotzi yedei arba kaisis. What does it mean arba kaisis? The kaishal bracha. V'lo yotzi yedei cheres. But it doesn't taste good. So you're not yoytza cheres. Shas arba kaisis, b'vasachas. Let's say you drank the sweetest wine at one time, 4 cups at one time. Yotzi yedei cheres, v'lo yotzi yedei arba kaisis. You're yotzi yedei cheres, but you're not yotzi arba kaisis. So here the Brisker Rav famously says is given svei dinim by arba kaisis. So his Tais is right or wrong according to the Rambam. He's half right, but he's also wrong. So let's talk, right? Meaning, it comes out according to the Rambam that there are 2 dinim, and they're independent of each other. You can have one without the other. If you drink 4 cups of wine at the right place, but wine that doesn't taste good, it's not diluted, you yaitza one din of kaishal bracha. If you drink 4 cups at one time and it tastes very good, you yaitza din of cheres. You're not yaitza arba kais. You're not yaitza din of kaishal bracha. So it's 2 separate dinim that are independent from each other. That's the Brisker Rav. Now you'll say, wow, that's a big shit. Usually Rambam doesn't make things up. But the truth is, first of all, the Gemara is off Kufchaf, but there's a Gemara like this. And I'll quote for you the Gemara. The Gemara says that the Gemara says over here, how in the world could how could Rabbi make a takana of 4 cups of wine? Everyone knows that we don't do zugos. We don't do zugos. Right? What's zugos? Pairs. This has to do with, don't ask me what this has to do with. I cannot reveal it to you right now. But the Gemara says, in the good old days, they were very worried about doing anything with an even. 2, 4, 6, because that would bring about demons and wizards and Harry Potter. It was very bad. So the Gemara asked, how could they make a takana of 4 cups of wine? That's an even number. So the Gemara famously gives one answer. Lo shmurimu, lo meshumar. We don't got to worry about a night of Pesach, right? We all leave our doors open. We leave the windows open. Yeah. Lo meshumar u'ba min hamazikin. Good. Ravina says, look at Ravina. Listen to the words. Arba kaisi tikner abanim derech cheres Kol chad v'chad mitzvah b'nafshe. Ravina says there are 4 cups of wine derech cheres, but each one has an individual mitzvah. Kol chad v'chad mitzvah b'nafshe. The words 4 cups of wine are derech cheres, but each one is a mitzvah on its own. What in the world are they talking about? 4 cups of wine derech cheres, but each one is a mitzvah on its own. So the Brisker Rav, Rishonim said it too, said exactly like the Rambam. Ravina is saying there are 2 components of dal kaisis. First component is 4 cups of wine has a unit to show that you're a king. 4 cups of wine. The plebeians drink only 2 cups or 3. A king drinks 4 cups. That is a unit. But the second component of 4 cups of wine. What's the second component? Kol chad v'chad mitzvah b'nafshe. But they said do each cup at a particular place. And each cup at a particular place is the other component of koshel bracha. A koshel bracha for Kiddush, a koshel bracha for the Haggadah, a koshel bracha for Hallel. So that divvies it up. That divides it. Yes, there's a sense of unity in dal kaisis. When you deal with the component of cheres, of to show that you're royalty, there's a sense of unity, no question. But since there's another component to the dal kaisis, that each one is on a separate bracha, that is enough to keep away the demons and to keep away the warlocks and the wizards and the necromancers. They're all not going to end up there. Why? Because there is that other component. So it's an open Gemara that Dalet Kaisis has 2 components. This is the famous Brisker Rav. Now, what will be the nafkamina between, we're going to say 7 or 8 nafkaminas between the Brisker Rav and Taisis. Again, according to Brisker Rav, between Taisis and the Rambam. Again, according to Taisis, there's only one issue, only the component of koshel bracha. According to the Rambam, there are 2 inyanim of dal kaisis: koshel bracha and the inyan of cheres. So, step one. The most obvious difference is what we just talked about for the last half an hour. According to Taisis, not everyone has to drink the cup of wine. According to Taisis,
might also be preferable.
Maybe, excellent. According to Taisis, only the dad has to drink the cup of wine. That's what we said. According to Taisis, it says a koshel bracha, and the koshel bracha always works is that not everyone drinks it, not everyone has a cup, just the leader, the one who's leading the service, right? He does, like by Kiddush, so just the dad has to drink it. Oh. Nafkamina number 2 would be, how much do you have to drink? Taisis says, quite clearly, all you have to drink is roiv lugmav, which is roiv revius, which is what we have to drink by every koshel bracha. By every koshel bracha, it seems we paskin, you need to drink roiv revius, and that is it. Oh. The Rambam famously says, you have to drink mikol kais. You got to drink the whole cup. If the cup is like one of the, you get a Slurpee, like these big cups, by 7-Eleven, the big gulpers, whatever they call, you got to drink the whole cup. The Rambam holds, you have to drink, now I want to make things clear here. The Rambam would agree if you had a small cup that is exactly revius, 3.3 ounces, you could drink that cup, right? But if you have a 6-ounce cup, you got to drink that whole cup. If you have a 10-ounce cup, you got to drink that whole cup, right? Now, why? Now the truth is, Rambam holds you could drink roiv of the cup, because we paskin ruach kule. If you drink roiv of something, it's like you did the whole thing, right? Roiv kule, right? Ruach kule. But if you have a cup of revius, which is allowed, you just have to drink roiv of that. But if you have a cup that's 6 ounces, you got to drink roiv of that. If you have a cup that's 20 ounces, you got to drink roiv of that. I mean, according to Taisis, it makes no difference how big the cup is. It's irrelevant. You just got to drink roiv revius, which is called a malei lugmav, and halacha is called a malei lugmav. Roiv revius and malei lugmav is the same thing. But according to Rambam, it depends on, it's situational. It depends on how big the cup is. Why does Rambam say that? Excellent. Because the Rambam holds there's the other component. What's the other component? Cheres, you drink the whole cup. You think Achashverosh drink a half a cup? No, Achashverosh drink the whole cup. Cheres is the whole cup, right? That's a big nafkamina. Anyone who ever runs a seder, one of the big things is to make sure you give out small cups. You don't want to have a big cup at your seder night, or else you're going to get drunk. Because according to the Rambam, and that's a halacha, you have to drink the whole cup or whatever that cup. So you want to try to make the cup as small. It has to be reus. You want to make the cup as small as possible because we pass like this Rambam. Okay, so that's another big nafkamina. But according to Tosfos, not only could the dad just drink it, the dad could just drink a little bit because just like every kosher bracha, right? Nafkamina number 3 would be, like we said, according to the Rambam, since each one has his own cup, each one should have the wine he likes. What does the Rambam say? According to Tosfos, kosher bracha, do the standard dilution, no big deal, dilute it a little bit and it's fine. But what does the Rambam say? Each person, it should be diluted according to the way he likes it, according to the way it's palatable to him. That's only according to the Rambam. It's not like kosher bracha, that you got to do it exactly the right way, that it should be areva, but this is all according to the Rambam. Nafkamina number 4 this is the big nafkamina. The Ramah Paskins, let's say you don't have wine. You don't have wine. Says the Ramah, you could use beer. Chamar Medina. If you don't have wine for the 4 cases, and you have no choice, not beer. Chamar Medina, you're right. Right. You could use orange juice, coffee, whatever you hold that Chamar Medina. I'm not going to involve what Chamar Medina is. Now, says the Brisker Rov that according to the Rambam, there is no way using Chamar Medina orange juice is called derech cheres. There is no way that the Rambam could say drinking orange juice or coffee is called derech cheres. You're showing yourself like a king. Every kollel guy's got coffee and tea and orange juice. There's no way. So Brisker Rov says the Rambam just means at least the kais shel bracha, that component you could do with tea or coffee or orange juice. And says the Brisker Rov, let's say you're stuck with only 4 cups of orange juice. So do the orange juice at the 4 places. But how much do you have to drink of it? Just the minimal. Because when it comes to orange juice, there's no Indian of cheres, so there's no reason for you to drink the whole cup. Because anyway, you're not going to do the Indian of cheres anyway, because you're using orange juice, this is Chamar Medina. Now, another nafkamina. Let's say you have enough money either to buy yourself 4 cups of wine or to buy orange juice for, there are two people. There's enough money for one guy to have 4 cups of wine or enough money to buy 8 cups of orange juice. So you would think, well, what should he do? At least if you get orange juice, I'm using orange juice as an example of Chamar Medina. I'm just giving you a random example. So you would say, well, okay, let everyone do outer cases. So at least you'll have 4 and 4. Yes, it'll be orange juice. So it says the Brisker Rov, no. In this case, it's 100% better to just get 4 cups of wine for one person. Why? Because with orange juice, you're only going to do kosher bracha. So kosher bracha, you don't have to drink yourself anyway. So let's say you buy 8 cups of orange juice. What do you have over here? Each guy did the kosher bracha, but he didn't get cheres anyway. If you buy 4 cups of wine, so the one guy could do the kosher bracha for everyone, because anyway kosher bracha you could do shemei koina, right? And at least one guy will get the cheres part too. So if the one guy has the 4 cups of wine, everyone gets kosher bracha, like kiddush, that you don't got to drink it, and at least one guy gets cheres, right? This is a big machlok. This is a big machlok what you do. But this is what. What?
So you gain one. So one read the nafkamina is
both.
Everyone gets.
Excellent. Everyone gets kosher bracha.
Yeah.
Everyone gets kosher bracha. So it's counterintuitive. But according to this, everyone gets kosher bracha, right? Okay. How much time we have? Okay. Rabbi say I have another a complicated nafkamina. I'm not going to go through here. Another nafkamina is what the Mishnah Berurah says something almost inexplicable. The Mishnah Berurah says that even though you better drink the whole cup of wine, a katan, he could just drink a little bit. A katan could just drink Rov Revius. And everyone is trying to figure out, why does the Mishnah Berurah say that a katan can only drink Rov Revius? We always say whatever gadol does, a katan does. It doesn't like a gadol has to drink the whole cup of wine. The katan has to drink a whole cup of wine. I know that, oh no, it's too hard for the katan, it's too much for him. But that's not the answer. But according to what we're saying now, it's good. We said, what's the whole reason why you have to drink the whole cup of wine? To show chayris, to show your royalty, you're a king, to show a katan doesn't usually like wine so much. At least in the good old days, they didn't like wine so much. You don't usually see a katan begging his mother for wine, maybe if you're French, but you don't usually see katan begging for wine. So a katan could never do the aspect of chayris. The katan can never be mekayim, the aspect of chayris. Can never fulfill the aspect of chayris because he doesn't like wine anyway. So let's go katan. We say katan, do 4 cups of wine. Yeah, katan, chinuch has got to do 4 cups of wine. The katan says, I hate wine. No, you're royalty. You drink that wine. I hate it. No, you're a king. Doesn't make sense. So for the katan, which aspect can he do? Only the aspect of kosher bracha. So in principle, the katan, if he's going to drink it, let's say he makes the kiddush, or whatever it is, if he wants to do it on his own, the most he'll have to do is drink the minimal amount. He wants to drink the whole type of cup, because anyway, the only time you have to drink the whole cup, if it's a 7-ounce cup or a 10-ounce cup, a 6-ounce cup or a 10-ounce cup, the only reason why I got to drink it is because of chayris. The cup then doesn't have chayris, and now the Mishnah Berurah is great. The gadol has to drink the whole cup, because he does have the component of chayris. But the katan will only have the component of kosher bracha. So there's no issue for him to drink the whole cup anyway, because he has no chayris by him, right? These are just some of the many nafkaminas. I literally have another 3 or 4 nafkaminas. But the point is, to summarize, according to Tosfos, there's only one din by kosher bracha, by Abba Kosher, one din, kosher bracha. And therefore, only dad could drink it, and dad could drink a minimal amount. According to the Rambam, is 3 dinim, or 2 dinim, kosher bracha and derech chayris, and therefore everyone has to drink it, and you have to drink the whole entire cup, or at least rov of the cup. You have a 20-ounce cup, you got to drink whatever rov is, 16 ounces, 11 ounces. You got to drink the rov of the cup, ruba kakulei. Okay? Oh, so now you're going to say, wow, this is great. Where is the source? This is where we get the punchline. Where are the source for these 2 dinim? The Rambam just made it up. Now, we know Rambam didn't make it up. I just showed you the Gemara sentence. There are other Gemaras that allude to this concept, that there are 2 dinim and kosher bracha. Where does it come from? You say there are Rabbanan have these two components. They institute these 2 components. Oh, but we're going to say that no. These 2 components are actually hinted in the Torah. Again, Pashas Dal Kosher are Rabbanan, but there's a smachta around in the Torah. What are going to be the 2 sources? We just said at the beginning of this year. What are we saying at the beginning of this year? There are 2 sources for Abba Kosher. One source is Haitzeitzi Galti Lakachti. Galti. That's the Dal Shainis. The Kosher are related to the Arba Shainis of Gula. That clearly represents chayris, represents the component of chayris. The opponents of freedom. We want to show we got free, we're kings, we got free, we left. What was going on by Paroi? What was going on by Paroi? By Paroi, he was just drinking wine, it happened to be his birthday, maybe they're giving the birthday boy some blessings. Be it as it may, by Paroi, the 4 cups of wine by Paroi is related to, or is keneged, is parallel to the kosher bracha. The kosher bracha. So there's 2 sources in the Torah. Again, when I say source in the Torah, I mean the Ramazim. One source is related to one component of kosher of Dal Kosher, of chayris. That's the source of the Dal Shainis Agula. And the source that we find by the cups of Paroi, that's related to the concept of kosher bracha. Now, you'll think, wow, fine, that's crazy. But the truth is, if you open up a shiltet Rabbi Achagoin. Who knows what the shiltet Rabbi Achagoin? Right? We know the Gemara was finished when? When was the Gemara redacted? No, much earlier. Redacted in the 500s, 428, 500, something like that. And then afterwards, there was a period of 500-600 years, a long period of time of Goinim. Who was called a Goin? A Goin was anyone who was a Rosh Shiva in Perpetuitio Usura. We do not have a lot of writings from the Goinim's time, which is pretty amazing. We're talking about a long period of time. So we all know the famous of Shrira Goin, of High Goin. These are the last Goinim in basically the year 1000, right? But the Goin started in the year like 500, 600. One of the famous Goinim, Rabbi Achagoin, and that actually Rabbi Achagoin wrote the first book that we have from the Goinim. The truth is, it's a misnomer. Rabbi Achagoin was not a Goin because he was never appointed as a Rosh Shiva. Because what happened was he was up for the running and his student got the job. And he got all upset about that, so he went to Eretz Yisrael. And they didn't like him in Eretz Yisrael too because they didn't want competition. So Rabbi Achagoin, he's probably like, who wrote the She'iltas Rabbi Achagoin, a very famous sefer, actually was not really a Goin because he never got the job. So things are like that in the good old days too. But they call him Rabbi Achagoin because he's very famous. So you're all about She'iltas Goin. And the She'iltas Goin, what is called She'iltas? Because it's questions. I mean, it's a lot of parts of She'iltas. And over there he's talking about the Arbor cases. And over there, I quote, Rabbi Achagoin says like this: you should know there are 4 cups of wine. Why? In order to remember, in parallel to the 4 cups of wine by Pari. Then he says, inexplicably, and how do you know the 4 cups of wine are in a Torah? Well, he says because we have the 4 Lashonis of Geula. So everyone's like, what? The Emek, right? The Emek Bracha, the Emek Netziv, the Emek Dover, Rav Tali, the Netziv wrote a famous. What's he talking about? He just said 4 cups of wine are from the 4 cups of Pari. Then he says, and how do you know 4 cups of wine are in the Torah? First of all, the 4 cups of wine of Pari are also in the Torah. And what do you mean 4 cups of wine are in the Torah? And he brings the Dal L'Shayin Shagula. So the answer is excellent. The Achagoin is saying exactly like the Brisker Rav. Exactly what we're saying the whole time. There are 2 components. First, the Achagoin says, how do you know that there are 4 cups of wine? There he's talking about the Kosher Bracha. Kosher Bracha? That's clearly in rabbinical in nature. The whole concept of Kosher Bracha is rabbinical in nature. And we say, well, because of the 4 cups of wine that we have by Pari. Then he says, but you know, there's a component that's deraisa. Why is there a component deraisa? Because the Rambam, when the Rambam brings down this issue of Arbor, he says, each generation you have to look at that you went out of Mitzrayim. Shenemar vaitzanu haitzi misham. It's a mitzvah d'oraisa to look at it like you yourself went out of Mitzrayim. And then the Rambam says, and therefore, when you eat at night, on the Pesach night, you should lean, and you should have 4 cases of wine. What is the Rambam saying? The 4 cups of wine, the component of cheres, is actually a d'oraisa din. Now, when I say d'oraisa din, I don't mean it's a din d'oraisa, but it fulfills a d'oraisa concept. You know the concept d'oraisa, says the Rambam? To look at it like you went out of Mitzrayim. So the Rabbanan said, how are we going to make that happen? The Rabbanan said, we're going to make that happen by making it the kana of 4 cups of wine. So what are the 4 cups of wine? It's a rabbinical takana. There's no question of rabbinical, but it's in order to fulfill a d'oraisa obligation. The d'oraisa obligation is to make believe or to look at it like you went out of Egypt. That's d'oraisa. You got to feel you went out of. He says, "Zacharta ke'eved klai b'kila atabat v'yitze eved v'yitzat l'chei niftas." That's d'oraisa. The Rabbanan couch it. The Rabbanan bring about the manifestation. How are you going to do that? Rabbinically, they said drink 4 cups of wine. So now Rabbi Achagoin is exactly what we're saying. First, Rabbi Achagoin says, how do you know 4 cups of wine? I'll tell you we know 4 cups of wine. By Pari. That's true. That's the component of Kosher Bracha. But then Rabbi Achagoy says, is there another component that is d'oraisa? When he means d'oraisa, that is a fulfillment of some type of concept d'oraisa? He says, of course. There's 4 cups of wine of cheres, and that's kineged dal l'shayna shagula, and that is a fulfillment. It's not d'oraisa, but it's a fulfillment of a d'oraisa concept. So basically, what we're saying here is an open Reb Achagoy. Now, Rabbi say, I have not even started yet, but I understand we're finished. So we got to get to the punchline here. So what? The main thing I wanted to do was say this famous Brisker Rov. This is like 101, the famous Brisker Rov. But now we're going to use this to answer our stira. And then at the end, hopefully, I'll tell you my answer. The stira was, why does Rashi bring 2 different reasons? Rashi in the Mishnah brings down the reason of Abba Koises, Dal L'Shayna Shal Geula. Why in the Gemara does he bring down the reason of the Dal Koises by Parai? Oh. But according to what we said last year, I'm sure you all remember this through Chazorah, we said it last year that the Bahag says that women have a lower level of Chiyuv by Megillah. That's what Bahag says. And amazingly enough, the Bahag says women have a lower level of Chanukah. Why? Bahag says men have to read the Megillah, women only have to listen. They don't have to read it. Right? Women don't have to read it, they only have to hear it. We're Yaitza reading the Megillah by Shemei Koina, but in principle, the women don't need Shemei Koina. They just have to hear it. Chanukah, according to some Bahag says, women don't have to light the neiros, they only have to see the Chanukah neiros. I'm not going to go there right now. So if that's true, that there's going to be a lower level for women, why? Bahag says like this. What does the pasuk say? What does the Gemara say? Nashim achayiv in Arba Kois the Megillah and the chayiv in Chanukah af hein by this. They were also saved. Meaning, really, women shouldn't have the chiyuv. Because it's mitzvah shizman grama. Dal Kois is mitzvah shizman grama. Dal Kois, Megillah is mitzvah shizman grama. Chanukah is mitzvah shizman grama. Really, women shouldn't have a chiyuv. But we want to stick them in there. Because af hein hayu ba'is nes. So says the Bahag, it makes sense. We're going to give them a lower level. Because really, they shouldn't have the chiyuvim. So by Megillah, what's the lower level? They only have to listen. By Chanukah, what's the lower level? They only have to see. By Dalet Kaisis, what's going to be the lower level? Oh, Gevaldik. Now that we have 2 components, we can know they can have a lower level. What lower level could they have? We're not going to give them the din of drinking it. Like we don't give them the din of reading the Megillah. That level we're not going to give them. That's too much to drink the 4 cups of wine. We are going to give them the level of hearing that it should be a kaishal bracha. That level we are going to give them. We're saying like this. Like Nashim, we're going to give them one level and not the other components. We're not going to give them the component of derech cheres. We're only going to give them one component. We're going to give them the component of kaishal bracha. Why? Because we said Nashim have to only have one component. They have to be lower than men in this area. Because it's really mitzvah shman grama, and we're sort of like putting them back into the back door. So, just like by Megillah, we give them a lower level, only hearing. By Chanukah, only seeing the neiros. What are we going to give by Kaishal Bracha? What are we going to give by Dal Kaisis? What lower level? We're not going to give them both components. Which component we're going to give them? Only the component Kaishal Bracha. Gevaldik. That's why Rashi has to bring down here the other reason. By Reb Shua ben Levi, Rashi has to say, we're asking why Rashi has to bring down another reason. In Daf Kuf Ches, in the Mishnah he gives reason A, because in the Mishnah he's talking about men. And by men, he says the main reason. What's the main reason? Derech cheres. And that's probably the reason why you have to give tzedakah. That's why you have right for the communal funds. You have right for the communal funds because it's a very special mitzvah, Dal Kaisis, derech cheres. But we're here to about women. And by women, we're not going to give them that hefty din. We're not going to give them both components. We're going to give one component. Which component? The Kaishal Bracha. Well, where does Kaishal Bracha come from? He brings down, the component of Kaishal Bracha comes by the Kaisis of Parai. Just like we saw by the Shiltas Goin, we saw by Racha Goin. that there are two components, and each one has its own source. So Rashi by Noshim brings the other source. Okay? This may sound a little stretched, but I really just wanted to say the Bris Garov. But once I say the Bris Garov, I can use this to answer up the stira in the Rashis. Okay? Now, how much time? 55. Oh yeah, Shemi Rakim. Now, this is my Chiddush. Before was also my Chiddush, but this is more, I think maybe, the answer could be like this. Can you use grape juice for abrikosis? That's a big brouhaha. Can you use grape juice? Right? Use grape juice. Now, l'chayra, what did Pari drink? It says there, black and white, that the Sarah Mashkim said, he said, Kois Pari biodi, I had the Kois of Pari in my hand, the ekechas anovim, the eschatotam, I took the grapes, I squeezed them, el Kois Pari, the etinas Kois al Kaf Pari. Pari didn't drink wine. The big Pari was so scared of him. He couldn't drink wine. Grape juice, right? The Gemara says Pari was one arm. I don't know if it's this Pari, but he couldn't handle it. So what do you see from here? The Pari grape juice. This is Chayr's Araya. That grape juice is considered wine. Oh, if this is so, now this is my teretz. Rabbi Shimon Levi says we got to make the women drink 4 cups of wine. Ever been by a seder? What are the first thing the women go for? The grape juice. Forget about it, right? For a woman to drink 4 cups of wine is takashver. It's not so easy, right? Oh, so Rashi had a question. 4 cups of wine for women? That's a little harsh. That's a little bit too much. So Rashi wants to say there's another source for abrikosis, and that source shows you can even have grape juice, because the source of the Sarah Mashkim was Pari drinking grape juice. So Rashi over here by the Noshim brings down the source of the 4 cups of wine of Pari to show that it's grape juice, and then it makes sense that we could make a takana that the women could drink 4 cups of wine, because it doesn't have to be wine, it can even be grape juice. That's my answer. Oh, no, we're not finished yet. 1 more minute. It could be al derech zeh, the same type of answer that we said before. The whole concept we see that women and wine and cheres is a complicated issue in the Seder. We know that women don't lean by the Seder. Women, the Gemara says they shouldn't lean by the Seder. Why? Amos Baalem, whatever it is. But basically we see that they don't have to show so much cheres. The Gemara says later on, a homachloek is, how do you make a woman happy on Yontif? According to one Yamar, you don't give them wine. You give them clothes. You give them a credit card. Let them rack up a credit card bill. Right? That's what Yehuda says. Yehuda says, how do you make a woman happy on Yontif? You give them clothes. Right? So I'm seeing from these Gemaras that for women, wine is not such a big deal. It's not like the biggest thing in the world. And also I see also their cheres is not such a big deal by women, because they don't lean. And I know I'm not saying it 100% right, but that's the feeling again. So it's very good. Again, the same thing. We don't have to come into Bahag. You don't have to come into the Bahag. You can say, listen, the whole concept of derech cheres does not really apply so much by women. And since the whole concept of derech cheres doesn't apply by women, Rashi's saying, why do they need to drink 4 cups of wine? So therefore, Rashi says there's another reason for 4 cups of wine, and that's why he brings the other source. Rabbi Isai, literally, if you give me another 40 minutes, we could finish up here. But I think we've done a good job here. So we did the famous Bris Garov. We talked about the two components of the 4 cups of wine. We said some nafkaminas, and with that we answered up Rashi's the stira in Rashi. And I want to wish you an end of a good zman. Next week I will not give you a shir because I'm taking over Rakmal's shir, so I won't have time to prepare. Anyway, next week, you Baal Tshuvas don't know about any of this, but there's something called a Shvur Shechalba. You know what Shvur Shechalba is? It's a reference to the tiny, to the Shvur Shechalba. Once it's the last week of Beit Hazmanim, so if you're more machmir, you do 9 days already. But Baruch Hashem and Ohr Somayach, they don't know from this. They go to the bitter end. So okay, everybody said we'll stop over here.